Hello and welcome to our video on Net Central. In this video we will talk about APRS Nets on Net Central. I'm John, KC1 VMZ. Let's get started. In an overview for our presentation today, we'll talk about what APRS Nets are, how you would create one with Net Central, how you would check into a net that's created by Net Central, what can participants do, how can they send messages within the net, how can questions and answers be relayed back and forth within the net, how does a participant check out of a net, and then how does the net get secured. We'll talk about various aspects of nets along the way and what you can do with them. So first, what are APRS nets? So nets in general are a way to increase and focus communication between participants at a very high level, whether it's voice, whether it's a national traffic service. Any sort of network is a way to focus communication and keep it centered on a particular set of tasks. Within Net Central, how this is implemented is a net is a tactical call sign, and it receives and sends the APRS data that's relevant to the net and its participants. So the first thing with Net Central that we need to do is to start a net. Within Net Central, when you first bring up the net monitor, you'll see that there are no nets. Given that there are no nets, we will need to create one. So from here, I can say create a new net. And here is where we would give it the tactical call sign. For this demonstration, we'll call ours NE APRS-7. I can give it a name, such as Test of Net Central, a description. This is a test of Net Central. If I was mirroring this APRS net on a voice frequency, I could put it in here and that information be available to others. The check-in message, perhaps whenever I want a participant to check, when they check in, I want to send them a message. And this one I'll say, welcome to NE APRS-7. For a longitude and latitude, if I want to announce this and have it show up on a map with an icon as an object, I'll need a location for it. And so I can announce this object, and we can also send a bulletin out relative to the creation and life cycle of the net. Net Central can remind operators and participants that they are checked in. Every hour it will send a message to remind them that they're still checked in. Nets can be either opened or closed. Open nets are open to anyone who knows the tactical call sign and can issue the commands to check in. A closed net is one in which a specific set of call signs are added, and then the net is only available to those call signs. If I wanted to provide a set of call signs who could get into a closed net, I would type them here. But even in an open net, I can provide a set of participants, and it will keep track of who am I expecting to show up. And we'll see how that looks in the monitor when we're done. Nets can be started either immediately or they can be scheduled. For now, we'll start it, and we'll get back to scheduled nets later. And I hit Create New Net. And now the net monitor window will show NE APRS-7 as an active net. If there were multiple nets, I would see a set of scroll bars here that would allow me to scroll between each of these. We'll take a look at that later. As part of this view, I can see the set of participants who are actively checked in, or perhaps like here where we specified during the creation of the net that this call sign, KC1 VMC, myself, should be expected, and currently I'm absent because I have not yet checked in. You'll see as I click on participants whether they're expected or checked in or even checked out, you will see participant information below that is specific to the selected participant. And to the far right, you will see lists of the messages, questions, and answers that are sent amongst participants. And to the far left, as participants join and their location is known, if they beacon their location and NetCentral is aware of it, then you'll see the position of those participants on a map. Now let's see what it takes to check into a net. Here I am using APRS IS32 to send messages back and forth between the net. So I've chosen to send to any APRS-7. To start with, I will check in. And when I check in and hit return, you'll see that you get a message saying that you have checked into the net, and you can send H for help. And my check-in message that I specified when I created the net was displayed. Welcome to the NE APRS-7. When I come into the net, there are some commands that I can specify up front, like I for information, and it will then give the information about the net, the name, its voice frequency, and the description. I can also specify L for list, and it will tell me who the participants are. So here you can see the relevant commands are CI for check-in, CO for check-out, we'll do that a little later in this video, I for getting information about the net, or L to list the participants of the net. If you wanted to do something simple like an in and out that you would do, say, in a voice net, you can simply say CI space CO, and that will check you in and immediately check you out of the net. And now, as a participant to this net, let's see what I can do. As a participant, there are several commands that I can issue that will reflect properties of myself as an operator, as my station. So if I type H for help, this will give me a list of all the following commands. We'll look at this set here. So I can set myself as a technical call sign or just a name that I have within the net to be known by. Maybe I'm going to be Water Boy. So when I say technical call sign is Water Boy, you will see in the screen that my tactical call sign has been updated, and in the participant screen itself, you'll also see that it reflects my tactical call sign. I also have the ability to set various other properties, such as my status. I could say status is driving. And this status will also show up in the net monitor. Now, like many of the voice nets or APRS nets that you've been a part of, you'll know that you need to provide information such as your electrical power. I can type in E and let's say, what were my options up here? Commercial. I could say E commercial with a backup of solar. I can do these one at a time, or I can do these all in a single line. I can set various attributes. For my radio, I'm not using a radio, I'm using internet, so I'll say radio internet, and the last one would be, let's say, X for power, for transmit power, and that's really not appropriate here because I'm using an internet client, so I'll just send this. And so now, as part of the product, it will then tell you what has been updated. If I go and select myself again in the screen, you'll see that all that various information, then you'll see that these attributes such as commercial and solar power have been set properly. And my status is here. For some reason, it didn't set the internet properly here. Not quite sure. But, oh, that's because I used the wrong command. I said it should be Y, internet. And then you'll see that it changed it to internet. And if I go back and look at my screen, it will show all the attributes that I've set. So the relevant commands as a participant are S for status, T for setting the technical call sign, F for the frequency that you're monitoring so that others can know what you're monitoring on for voice, X is your transmit power if it's appropriate, E and B are the electrical power sources, either your primary or backup. Y allows you to set the radio style, or type, whether it's an appliance, a base station, a handheld, internet, mobile, or other. And all of these commands can also be combined with the checkout and check-in commands, so you could actually do it all in one swell swoop when you join the net. As part of the net, participants will want to send messages between them to pass tactical information useful for whatever work they are currently doing. Let's take a look at how this looks in Net Central. So from a radio or an app or whatever APRS client you have, I can send a message to all the participants. I can say M for message, and then this is a test. By doing this, you will see in the messages display on the Net Central console, you'll see that a message has been sent to the entire net. And you can see in the actual client that also this message has shown up. If I wanted to send a message just to anyone who is on Net Central, I can type MC and say this is just for net control. And you'll see I didn't receive a message on my client here, but in the messages window you'll see that net control received a message just for them. If I had joined the net late and wanted to see what messages had been sent, I can issue the command for resend the last 4 messages, and so I would then get a list of all the messages. I've only had 1 message sent to me, or sent to the net, so only received 1 and not 4. But if you wanted to limit the number of messages you received, or if you wanted to limit the number of messages you replay or resend back to you, that would be using the R command. So the relevant commands as a participant being able to send messages to the net and to Net Central are through the M and MC commands. And as a participant, if I want to replay the last N number of messages, I could say R space N, where N's a number, and Net Central would send me N number of messages. Now moving to questions and answers that can be posed within a net between participants. From my client or from the Net Central web UI, I can ask a question of the entire net. When I do it from my APRS client, from my radio or app, I can say question Q, say, is everyone in place? This sends it to Net Central, and then Net Central will send the question to everyone. Is everyone in place? You can see that the question shows up in the web UI in the question section. Now, as a participant, I want to answer. All the questions are numbered, so I would say answer question 1, yes. And when I answer it, my answer will be acknowledged. And if I look in the Net Central console, I'll see that along with my questions, if I select the question, I'll see the list of answers that every participant has provided. So as a participant asking and answering questions, the relevant commands are Q for sending a question to the participants in the net, A for answer, and N being the question number. You can answer that question. And if you're afraid that you may have missed a question that's posed to the net, you can issue the command QL, and it'll send you a list of unanswered questions. In the case that you've joined the net late, when you first join the net, you will be given a list of unanswered questions that were posed before you had joined the net. If you check out and check back in, and there were questions that were posed, those too would be asked of you when you rejoined the net. So now we'll look at what it takes to check out of a net as a participant. And now to check out of a net, I simply need to type CO for checkout. And it will have checked me out of, and now you'll notice that I am checked out. So it'll keep track of the participants who have checked in and checked out, and who are expected here in this window. So the relevant commands for checking out is CO. Now, to secure a net, once the net wants to be done and closed and you want to document who participated and what was done within the net, you can secure it. To secure the net, simply click on Secure Net. It'll confirm. And now there will be no more nets that are currently active. Private nets are nets where you only want specific participants, specific call signs to be present in the net. So if I swim Net Central, if I create the same net, APRS 7, and I'm going to say test of Net Central, but this is going to be private only. I'll still give it a longitude and latitude. I can announce it, but this time I'm going to make sure that it's closed. And I am only going to allow, let's try KC9ZZZ. It's basically a call sign that doesn't exist. And we'll start this now. We'll create this net. You'll see that it's private. It has a lock on it. It's mentioned as the name and description. In the case of scheduled nets, I could choose to schedule a net for some time in the future, either for one time or recurring on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. From the Net Monitor window, I can create a new net, give it a call sign, as we've been doing. We'll just take these. We'll give it the same information. Now, if I want to change when it starts, if I don't want it to start now, but to start later, I can choose from a number of different recurrences. If it's daily, I can choose what time of day every day to run this. From weekly, I can choose which day of the week and what time. If I want to run it monthly, either on the 1st through the 31st, or I can pick a relative day such as the 1st through last Sunday through Saturday of the month. Or I can just say one time only, started on this particular date at this particular time. And I can also set how many hours is that the net should run for. So if I only want it to run for 8 hours and then shut down, I can specify that here. So I hope that gave you a good overview of how Net Central runs nets, how you can create a new net, how participants can check in, set particular attributes about themselves, send messages, questions and answers amongst participants, be able to check out, and then ultimately secure the net. There are aspects of nets such as private nets and scheduled nets that we also covered. Thank you once again for watching this presentation. I hope you enjoy your time with Net Central.